All right, so good morning, Trey.
Good
Um,
morning.
Really excited to chat with you today. You're someone who I look up to a lot. You're a fellow strengths coach. You're in Topeka, and we've been able to connect more and more throughout the past year or so. And I have watched how you manage your team and how you infuse strengths in your work culture. And I want to share it with other people because you're a prime example. So we'll jump
Great,
right in.
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We'll jump right in and can you share a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, I am the Chief Federal Probation Officer for the District of Kansas, and we encompass the whole state of Kansas. And we have offices in Kansas City, Topeka, and Wichita, and supervise. I manage and supervise everybody across the state, all our employees and all our offices. I've been with the federal government for 30 years, so it's been a long time, and it's been wonderful.
Love that. And then how long have you been doing strengths?
Well, I was introduced to strings probably 8 or 9 years ago. I was on the faculty for a federal leadership program, and we used Clifton Strengths Assessment as one of the tools in that program for the participants. And then since that time, we did a variety of things, tools with our staff. I bought everybody a book. We took the assessment. And then about 4 years ago, I became a certified strengths coach. And since that time, I've probably coached, I think probably I've done about 100 individual sessions, then full 34 report for some folks and top five for sure for most. And then I've also done some presentation work with teams across the federal court system, and then have done numerous group presentations related to strengths locally and in a variety of other places as well. So it's been a lot of fun. My top five are developer, arranger, achiever, harmony, responsibility, and I always like to include number six, which is positivity, because it really is a big part of who I am and certainly a dominant strength of mine.
Yeah, I love that. And really, you've been asked to share strengths training around the world, right? Because
Yes.
you've kind of been the federal court system has realized he's really good at this. Let's keep um which is
I've
very
been very lucky. I've been able to go to, gosh, Guam on, one end of the world, and I've been back to, gosh, I've been north, south, going to North Carolina coming up. So I've really been all over and been very blessed to be able to do that.
yeah, that's awesome. So that's your background with strength. So then tell me more. You've told me about how you have, with COVID, you've really kind of focused your management on how can we keep people going. So can you share some of the things you've been doing?
Sure. We started working on our COVID-19 response back in February, and in early March, we realized, we're going to be dealing with this issue for quite a few months to come. And so just like I do when I'm coaching someone, facing a challenge, I turned to, kind of looked at my own strengths and really tried to figure out which ones I could leverage to address, the challenges before us. And for me, it was easy to break into two categories, really. One, for just my work task and for me individually, I knew my arranger responsibility and achiever would really kick in. I'd keep all the plates spinning, and me being a list maker like many people with achiever, I would have tons of lists, and that really went well. But I was really most concerned about my staff. And as the senior executive, I wanted to make sure they were, experienced or went through this experience as best they could. Then again, it wasn't really hard for me to figure out, looking at my strengths, what I needed to do. Positivity and developer really kicked in. And that's when I decided I'd send a daily email, hopefully share some hope, inspiration, some positive perspective, and a little fun too. They were short, kind of typically included a famous quote, had a simple message, and I think people really enjoyed them. The other thing I realized, in developer being number one, the other thing I wanted to really do, and I thought it was important for staff to view this as an opportunity, hopefully to develop some new skills and gain some confidence. So I wanted them to join me in developing a growth mindset. And that growth mindset can be really, for me, it's always been reduced just to one simple word. And I challenge them to simply add a three-letter word at the end of any sentence when they were facing a challenge. And hopefully that would give them some confidence, maybe a path forward. That simple word is yet. And I'll use Zoom as an example. Several months ago, most of our staff never heard of Zoom. They didn't know how to use it. and sometimes stress about technology. And so I knew, at least in their mind, they would be saying, I don't know how to use Zoom. And so by adding yet at the end of that sentence can change their whole perspective. So it becomes, I don't know how to use Zoom yet. And so by just doing that, I think it shows and makes realize what is possible. It reminds us of the other times that we've had to learn something and become successful at it. And now, after a couple months and some experience, I would say the majority of our staff, almost all of them, are comfortable using Zoom, and it's not a stressor. And they've been able to celebrate that new skill. So it's been really good. Another example just of one of my other daily emails was sharing a John Lennon quote that everything is going to be okay in the end. If it's not, it's not. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about that it's maybe hard to see the end of this right now, but it's going to be okay, and we're going to get there together. So I think staff really appreciated that. One of the other things I did, I tried to share some relevant articles with staff about resiliency, working from home, now as a parent and as a teacher. Like many, agencies, we had a lot of folks that were now also the teacher and trying to manage that in addition to their work. And so I also focused on some special, trying to to our managers and really encourage them to work with their teams in a new and different way.
Yeah, that's so great. I can see that you were infusing positive psychology into your culture, encouraging your managers. And we had a phone call and you said, well, I'll send you a couple of these emails. And I didn't really know what to expect. And then they were just they'd have a funny video, or they were really inspiring, or just helped you, right? Like change into that perspective mind shift that you need sometimes to get through hard times. And I definitely saw your developer and positivity coming out in the way that you manage and lead your team. So
Yeah, thanks.
that is great. It's great that you're doing that. And I'm just seeing a lot of positive psychology in general. You're really leaning on, okay, what can we focus on that's going well right now to build up the team? And you focused on strengths too. I remember one of the first emails you shared with me, you sent to your staff about how strengths might handle change and ways that you could lean on them. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. We sent out, myself and another colleague is a certified strengths coach, and we sent out several messages early on that were a little bit fun, but, for example, being in, the stay-at-home order was really tough for those people with woo, and just missing people. And so it was kind of a fun look, not only of kind of what it meant to kind of weather this using your strengths. And so we sent several different messages early on and tried to tie at least indirectly most messages back to some kind of general strengths kind of philosophy and well-being.
Yeah, I love that. So let's touch on well-being, because I know that's been your overarching goal or challenge, concern for your employees. So can you speak to that?
Right. Yeah, we've had a wellness committee for over 20 years in the district, and really have tried to do a variety of things. But and we've adopted more recently the Gallup 5 dimensions of well-being: career, social, financial, community, and physical. But I knew during the pandemic that at least the potential existed for all 5 of those areas to be negatively impacted by those elements for some staff, kind of maybe depending on their circumstances. And I wanted them to not only know intellectually, but feel emotionally kind of a sense of community, social connection to others during this time. So, again, I asked the supervisors to kind of step up their contact with people. We started using a variety of things like Zoom, Google Duo, FaceTime, other things, instead of just an email or a phone call. Really try to connect and see each other's face, I think, was important during this time. And some of my other, emails that we had going on kind of encourage folks to kind of share a picture from their home workspace or their pets or their home coworkers, and send a picture to all staff with their kids. Or another one was, share your walk-up song. Major League Baseball, a lot of sports have a walk-up song for athletes, and most people identify with the song. So it was really a great opportunity for people to do that, to feel some kind of connection and get to know each other a little bit better, during that time. So, We also encourage some healthy habits, diet, sleep, exercise, kind of the regular things you think about. But before the school year ended, I had staff, we called one activity PE with your kids or art class, and then encourage them to do something fun with your kids, and then, share a picture the next day. So I think people really enjoyed kind of connecting with their kids with something. It kind of tied them to work, and hopefully, for the most part, I think everybody kind of endured so far, their well-being intact as good as possible, and
Yeah.
having a connection and community.
Yeah, that's awesome. And ultimately, do you believe that as a result of that, they're more productive, better workers, more committed?
Oh yeah, for sure. We didn't, I think we were a little afraid about kind of a dip in productivity and engagement, but we didn't see any of that. People really rallied. They relied on each other, and it was really amazing. We run reports and follow matrix and that kind of stuff, and we didn't have a dip in productivity at all. So I think it's a credit to them, kind of just weathering through this and doing the best they could. So it worked out great.
That's great. And very humble of you to credit to them. I would also say your leadership, I'm sure,
Yeah.
was
Well,
very
thanks.
helpful. Yes. Tell me more about resilience. That was another topic you touched on.
Yeah, I think all of these things really, the foundation at building resiliency, about cultivating social connections, avoiding social isolation, that positive peer relationships and kind of supporting interactions with our family. And I wanted to change the narrative where possible. This was a serious and deadly situation for so many people, but hopefully can also be an opportunity for some growth, some connection in new ways, some skill development and problem solving and looking at things in a new way. I don't think we'll ever go back and do the work the same way we did it before. And so, and I really just focused in on and tried to remind staff that our purpose and vision didn't change throughout this. We still had the same statutory responsibilities we needed to fulfill, and our core mission didn't change. It really was just some of our methods. And so we're not back to normal operations. We're working on kind of a reconstitution recovery plan, but we've certainly tried to celebrate, along the way, recognize some growth and success. And, I'm confident at some point we're going to look back at this and say, wow, what a journey, but we did it together.
Yeah, I love that. Sometimes people think positive psychology is all about the good things and ignores, but really negative emotions and hardships and challenges can teach you a lot. And resiliency is about how do we get through those in a healthy way. And so it's
Yeah.
like through the positive psychology, you've been able to do that.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Again, the staff have been great, and it's gone as well as could be expected. It really has, and better.
That's great. Well, you're a great example to everybody. I'm glad that you were able to share more. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Just in general, again, no matter what the situation is, we've all been successful at the past, I think, doing certain things, using our talents and strengths to get through those experiences. And this was just another one of those examples. And you just need to kind of catch your breath, pause for a minute and reflect on that, and then kind of decide a path forward using your strengths. And it worked out great.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, Trey, thanks for sharing with everybody. Everyone's blessed to now know you and know more about the work you're doing, and hopefully they can pick up some tips and tricks. So thanks for
Great. Thank you so